welcome to Camp Chats, part of our virtual Camp Fair week. I am managing editor Hillary Bird, and today we are here to talk about nature and the benefits of nature with Anthony Escobedo. He's the chief naturalist at the Dunes Learning Center at Indiana Dunes National Park. Welcome, Anthony.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So what is it about nature that is so important to child development and kids being and learning in nature?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think kids today, especially, they're faced against so many different challenges and so many obstacles that they're faced just on a daily life. And nature provides the perfect like avenue or opportunity for students to develop and learn life lessons, skills that maybe they may not have an opportunity to learn otherwise. Without going into too many like specifics, there's a lot of studies out right now that's talking about how nature is impactful in student development in like physical, social, emotional development. So it's really cool, especially for somebody who's on the trail with students. You see a lot of really cool moments and experiences that happen. And in at Dunes Learning Center, one of the places that we hike at, there's this like infamous giant sand dune that kids have to climb on for one of our programs. And it to me it's such a special moment on the trail because you really get to see the transformation that nature is having on students, especially like campers and classrooms, things like that. So in this particular trail, like students are challenged to climb up this sand dune, and along the way, you start to see like students um, cheering each other on. They're like helping each other. They're like trying to motivate each other. They're like watching each other and making sure that like the last person or the person in the back, which is usually me, they're like waiting for me to like catch up to them. So they're like kind of supporting each other, you know. And then they get to the top, and I at the top, I always like to just kind of like get because it's such a special moment. They're looking out at the Indiana dunes at the beach and the lake and Lake Michigan, and it's just a special moment. And I always like to try to ask a question to like, how are they feeling? And when I asked that question, you know, it's just a broad, open question, like, how do you feel? And I remember this one case that there was this kid, and it was such a like a cool conversation because I asked him, I said, how are you feeling? And he just looked at me and he just nodded his head and said, I feel good. I feel really good. And it was just a simple statement, but you could just like see like the impact that it was having. Like a weight was lifted off their shoulder. Like they were just kind of like at peace. And it was a simple, but it just went a long way. And that one was really special to me.
Oh, that's fantastic. And in that way too, how does being in nature really help kids become more well-rounded citizens and, better citizens of the world, whether they grow up, in a big city or, around just they don't just have the access to it all the time.
Yeah. So here at Dunes Learning Center, we put a lot of emphasis on giving the campers and the students the opportunity to find their own sense of place in a community, and let them create that relation and that connection within themselves. And we feel that once students kind of find their place, then they start to take ownership of it. And then once they start to take ownership of it, they start to care about their neighbors, the small things. I mean, neighbors, even in the sense of like natural things, right?
Right.
And that just aligns like really well with our mission of like inspiring lasting curiosity and stewardship with nature, because students then go on to be environmental stewards because they care about their community. They care about, this every aspect of their community.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, especially after this year too, with so much virtual learning, getting out in nature and whatever camp they go to, how is that going to help kids sort of recuperate from a year or even a year and a half of really sort of being stuck inside, maybe getting in the backyard, but really sort of stuck inside?
Yeah, that's a good question because I think we're all feeling a little bit of like pandemic fatigue, is what I like to call it. Like, yeah. This summer, especially, like we plan on providing lots of opportunity for students to just like relax lots of exploration, lots of opportunity for like reflection, but just giving them a chance to also be a kid, right? I mean, a huge aspect of that portion of their life is just missing, like playing. A big one is just letting kids realize that they don't need technology all the time. That it's okay to play without technology. Nature still provides tools that you can play without, having a device in your hand, or logging onto a computer. But really, we wanted to provide students with that opportunity to explore, reflect, and I think the biggest thing is that we're just having a summer camp, right? I think that's just one of the biggest things that we get from kids, from our campers, is that they think that coming to camp is like one of the greatest weeks of their life, and when you don't provide that, you're missing out a lot. So we're providing that, and we're providing that opportunity for students to have that memorable, life-changing experience.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, and when kids, get out of school, there's always a worry, especially from teachers, about summer slide. Like, okay, are they gonna slide back and forget how to learn, and forget how to be in a classroom, and forget those things? How does being in nature versus being indoors help kids sort of not hit that summer slide, so that by the time they get to second grade or third grade, they haven't forgotten all the stuff that they remembered at the end of first grade?
Yeah, so that's a good one too, and it's tough because at summer camp we like to focus on experiences. So we like to take things, maybe lessons that they learned in the classroom, and apply them to real life experiences.
Oh, that-
And doing stuff that's fun, right? So like hiking, and then when you're hiking, you're having these meaningful conversations. I mean, everyday conversations that we have with our students on trail, anyways, like plants and animals, and ecology, especially local ecology, is like a big focus that we like to talk about. But it provides that opportunity for more informal learning, especially. So, trying to think of a good example. Um, so again, on that same trail that I was mentioned before, one of the favorite activities that our campers do are searching for salamanders, right? And we go salamander hunting, is what we like to call it. We don't harm the salamanders. We just look for them. And in that process, we don't tell students like where to look for salamanders, right? We let them experience and discover it. But how do you find where a salamander lives? Well, you have to know that you have to know what kind of shelter it likes. You have to know what kind of food that it eats. So even in that short experience of salamander hunting, right, they're learning about trophic webs. They're learning about, the habitat of a salamander. They're learning about the shelter, what predates on it, and all this. They're thinking about those things, and they don't realize it. To them, they're just like, well, we're trying to find salamanders, but it kind of, it builds on to that same experience of having those talks even throughout the year, even though they're informal.
Well, Anthony, this has been such great information, and personally, I can't wait to get out in nature. But thank you so much for all of your help.
Of course, thank you for having me.